With the price of silver being only $1 away from hitting $100 per ounce, it's a good time to check out silver miners in which retail investors are already invested in and in which retail investors see their potential to make wealth, to generate wealth, to make a lot of gains, 10 baggers, 20 baggers, whatsoever. And before we start with the video, before we start with the analysis of those said silver miners, 10 in total in this video, I just want to show you some of my personal results, some of my personal investments, in order to show you that I'm not just a con artist talking on YouTube, talking on social media without actually being invested in those mining companies, without putting his money where his mouth is. So therefore, you are currently seeing some of my positions. Juan Oyato Silver, Silver Corp Metals, Silver One Resources, Dave Janse Silver, just in order to build trust, to show you that I actually got my expertise and that I actually invest with a good amount of money in those mining companies and that I know what I'm talking about, that I actually got experience in investing, etc. So let's go on. Let's start with the mining companies really quick. I will tell you how we proceed this video. I chose 10 silver miners from our comment section in the last couple of videos. You people wrote about, you people wanted me to talk about, you people wanted me to analyze. And therefore, we are just gonna stick to the charts, okay? No fundamental analysis. I did fundamental research on all of those projects, okay? That being said, multiple hours per project of research, just in order to understand the charts as well. So therefore, we are keeping it straight charts. My entry prices, if I would buy, where I would buy, and my price targets for the coming mining companies I'm going to show you right now. Alright guys, now you know what's the structure of the video. Therefore, let's start with the first mining company. The first mining company I want to talk about is Silver North Resources. Its current market cap is below 32 million Canadian dollars, so it's a really small explorer mining company which is fully or solely focused with its 3 projects which are based in Yukon, Canada, fully focused on silver. The projects are close to major mining companies such as Hecla Mining or Kerr Mining, so therefore they are in a really good district. Alright, that's for the fundamentals. Let's go straight to the charts. At current prices, I gotta be completely honest, this is no financial advice. Always do your own research, especially with the fundamentals. Take a few hours, at least watch a couple of videos, watch the news, okay? Just put a little bit of energy, of effort into the research before you invest your hard-earned money, okay? So I am, also another disclaimer, I am already invested in this company. I bought a small portion, really a small portion, not even needed to be mentioned, but nonetheless I mentioned it. I bought a small portion around current prices. So what would be my entry price, why I bought already, and what will be my price target? Therefore, we need to understand what the current structure tells us. The current market structure, we are on a weekly chart, tells us that we are forming a big double bottom, and those usually are extremely bullish patterns, especially on the higher time frame, and especially if they take such a long time to form. This double bottom is forming already since summer of 2015, so it's taking more than 10 years already to form and to play out. So this is a really healthy accumulation zone. With the price of silver supporting the current mining companies, this will most likely break out to the upside instead of going sideways for another 10 years. Okay guys, so let's see where my entry targets would be. My first entry target is around the current price. Why? Because we are currently sitting at a support resistance zone. We can see a deviation right here, so this could be a deviation right now and we go lower again, but we can also just go higher from here with the price of silver also not resting but ripping above $100. So if the price of silver goes above $100, maybe goes to $110, $115, and then decides to go lower again, have its long-awaited correction for the general investors to finally step in, institutions and retail investors, silver going maybe to 90, 80 or even $60, who knows. This mining company could also go lower, retest this uptrending support, or even go lower to retest this horizontal support, or go lower to retest those lows. With that being said, retesting those lows, I don't expect it. I would be buying this retest of this trend line, okay guys? Or if we go lower, I would be buying more at the retest of this horizontal line. Why? Because this zone is the reaccumulation zone at the range low. So this will be support such as it was right here, okay guys? Therefore, if you want to invest in the stock after you did your own research, obviously, this is a nice entry price. And if you got some money left, this is another good entry price. I would never buy all of the money you want to invest at once, okay? I would never invest all your money you want to put in the stock at once. Always do DCA, dollar cost average. Buy some now, for example, as I did. Buy some at the next support area and another portion of your money you want to invest at the next support area. Therefore, you get a clean entry price, average entry price. If it rips higher from now, you're not devastated because you already invested with a small portion. If it goes lower, you're not devastated because you made some losses, but it's just a small portion of your money you want to invest. So you invest even more and even more. So your average entry price is around here, for example. Depends on how deep the prices go. Alright guys, so let's see our price targets. And since this project is still pretty small with a lot of potential in my opinion, as I said, to your own research on the fundamentals, my first incentive is obviously from current prices this local high, which would already give us a 3x, okay? 200%, easy money to be made within this year already, maybe, okay? Possible. The next price targets would be my Fibonacci levels, 1.618, 2, 2.618, and so on. But let's be honest, since this is such a small project, I don't think that it will stop at 1.618, 2 or 2.618. I think that this can go way higher. This can go up to $5. So this would be even more than a 10x potential, okay? Not saying that you should hold all the way up to those highs and even higher, but just saying that I wouldn't sell all at once, such as I wouldn't buy all at once. Sell and buy in portions. Sell at the price you're comfortable with selling. Taking profits has never killed anyone, okay? It's always important to secure profits, to secure money before investing money, okay? So therefore, take profits personal, okay? Maybe at this high, maybe even higher, and here again, and maybe leave a little bit of your position, maybe 10% for the moon, okay? In crypto terms speaking, okay? For the prices to push up to the moon, okay? So that's my price targets for Silver Resources. Let's go on with the next mining company. Alright, so we move on with Kuya Silver Corporation. It's a project with around 130 million Canadian dollars market cap, also one of the smaller ones. Obviously, we are only talking about junior miners and explorers in this video. Kuya Silver is already producing a little bit of silver. I think it's around 30,000 silver equivalent ounces, so it's nothing, obviously. And they also just raised a little bit of money, or a good portion of money, better said, in the last couple of weeks, in the last couple of months, as every other explorer junior mining company, obviously because it's a good time for financing. Their projects are based in Peru, which is important to be noted again. So let's go straight to the charts. And Kuya Silver doesn't have a lot of history, chart history, and just broke out of its accumulation zone, of its bottom we have formed in the last couple of years. And in my opinion, buying right now, of course it could be a good opportunity. In my opinion, if you buy right now, the chance that you will sell higher in the next coming years is really high. So even if you buy right now blindly into stocks, into silver mining companies, the chance for you to make profits is higher ever than it was before. But in my opinion, my entry prices would be at this retest of the range high from the last accumulation zone, which sits around 0.55 Canadian dollars. Let's go on the weekly chart. Here we see it once again. This is our range. Retesting this would give me entry. we got another accumulation zone right here, right under the resistance, and then we pushed higher. So this is big support in the coming months if we see a correction in silver prices and in silver mining stocks. On the daily chart, you can make the argument that buying right now is an okay-ish call, since we are forming, let's go on the forward chart, since we are forming kind of a breakout pattern right here, okay? So this looks a little bit like a falling wedge, which is normally a bullish continuation pattern. So if you did your own research and you're not invested yet and you want to make quick gains, for example, just for the coming weeks, buying right now, okay, could be a good opportunity in order to make 30 to 50% of gains. Nonetheless, in my opinion, I wouldn't buy right now. Since I already am invested in most of my favorite mining stocks, I would wait for better entry prices. There's no rush for me to buy right now. I don't have FOMO, and it's really important, even if you're not invested now, don't have the fear of missing out, okay? Never have FOMO. It leads you into deciding based on emotions, not based on fundamentals, facts and rational decisions, which will eventually lead you into being a bad investor, okay? No FOMO, no emotional investment decisions. What would be my price targets for this company? Just based on the charts, obviously, prices are on $2.60 and $3.10, this local high here, okay? This is resistance. We went lower, okay? So this is a deviation again, we went lower. That's why I would sell a portion of my investments if I would buy at $2.60 and the next portion at $3.13, and keep some obviously in case we go higher, in case this is just a big round bottom before we break out higher in the coming years. Alright, so let's keep on going to the next silver miner, because we don't want this video to be 30 minutes long. Alright, we are now looking at GR Silver Mining, which is one of the bigger exploration companies with a market cap of around about 250 Canadian dollars. All the projects are based in Mexico, which is just like Peru, a nice mining district, a nice mining region, especially with the current change of politics in relation to mining and permitting and so on. Alright, so GR Silver Mining, would I buy now? No. Where would I buy? At a retest of the mid-level, at a retest of this level and this level. Will we see a retest of 24 Canadian dollar cents again? Probably not. Will we see a retest of the mid-level? More likely. Will we see a retest of 39 Canadian dollar cents? Also possible. Depends on how deep and when the correction will appear. That the correction in the markets will happen is obvious to all of us. If you don't expect a correction, you're a bad investor. I just have to say it like that. Because markets don't go up in straight lines, okay? They go up straight, correct again, go up straight again, correct again, go up straight again, correct sideways maybe, go up straight again, okay? That's just a normal market structure. Therefore, I wouldn't be FOMOing right now at current prices. I would wait for a retest of the mid-level and the other levels I just mentioned. Where would be my price targets for this company? Obviously the all-time highs, and then again my range extension targets. You can see them right here on the chart. I would say let's go on with the next mining company. Alright, so the next mining company is Tier 1 Silver, also a really small explorer, yet with a market cap of only 42 million Canadian dollars, and their projects are based in Peru as well. Right now, would I buy? I think it's okay to buy right now, even though we are at range highs of this bottom range. Why? Because this could be just, let's go on the daily chart, this could be just a reaccumulation right around the support resistance zone before, you can guess it already, before we rip higher. And then maybe correct a little bit and go higher again. So if you're not invested yet, if this is one of your favorite mining projects, buying right now isn't a bad idea. Otherwise, if we see a correction in the markets, I think buying at this diagonal trend line is a good idea. I'm not invested in this project, but I'm watching this project closely because I think it's a really nice project, also based on the fundamentals, not just chart-wise. Nonetheless, where would be our price targets? Of course, I can draw a range as well if you want this to see. So this would be our price targets based on Fibonacci extension levels. And you can see that this isn't just random, okay guys? The 2.61 Fibonacci level is right at this local high. So chart analysis, for some people it might be hocus pocus, but for people with actual experience, such as me, with over 7 years of analyzing the charts, all of it kind of makes sense, okay guys? And therefore I made a lot of profits based on my chart analysis and based on my fundamental analysis and research. You always need to combine those two. If you don't have any clue about chart analysis, you're lucky that you found my channel. Alright guys, jokes aside, in my opinion, those local highs around 0.365 Canadian dollar cents and around 42 Canadian dollar cents are nice targets. If this project, since it's also a small project with a really small market cap, if this project makes a lot more good or positive drill results and even maybe gets an MA, this can go really high, okay? This can go to all-time highs again, which would be more than 10x from current prices. With that being said, let's go on to the next mining project. Next mining project is Dolly Varden Silver Corporation, which looks really nice. I wish I had this on my watch list a few months earlier in 2025, because right now it's hard for me to buy this. Nonetheless, you can still buy it right now. In my opinion, the current pump we had this month, okay, the monthly candle looks really good and looks like it wants to go higher. It likes to continue higher, okay? Why? Why I say this? On some projects I say it's nice to buy even though we had a 30% pump this month, and on other projects I say no, I would wait for a correction, is based on the previous chart development. Because as you can see, we had a reaccumulation, we had a retest right here, okay, a retest before we went higher, and right now we came out of this retest. Of course the current month is pumping hard, okay, exclamation marks, but I think that this can go even higher because we just had a correction, we just had a retest of this long bottom range, okay guys? Therefore on some projects I say, or on some charts I say, you can buy right now even though we are pushing higher already, or I would wait for a correction. Therefore, Dolly Varden is a really nice opportunity if it goes lower again, if we see a retest of this level again, okay, or even lower, which would bring us down to around 4.44 Canadian dollar cents, or as I said, 5.62 Canadian dollar cents. The best or the most healthiest correction would be something like this, where we retest this trend line in confluence with the horizontal support, such as we had it in or on Guanajuato Silver chart. If you watched this video about Guanajuato Silver, I can link it right here. If you remember, it had a perfect confluence of retesting both support zones, both support metrics, the trend line and the horizontal support line. If this happens for Dolly Varden, I expect a big buying at those zones and a big push higher in the coming months, in the coming years. Therefore, my price targets for Dolly Varden are this local high at $12.80 or even higher, okay? $24 wouldn't be out of sight and even higher. So therefore, it is a good project, already a bigger one with more than 200 million Canadian dollars market cap, but it's really solid. I mean, the market cap speaks for itself. So let's go on to the next mining project. The next mining project is West Coast Silver Limited. And this one has almost no chart history, but nonetheless, it's based on or in Australia. Its projects are in Australia, and the market cap is around 90 million Australian dollars. And before we go into the chart analysis, if you liked or enjoyed or this video was helpful so far for your own investment decisions, if it was insightful, I would really appreciate it if you leave a subscription to our small and growing channel. Alright, let's keep going. We are currently sitting at a nice price, could be going higher. Why? We just retested this support, okay? But if you want to be completely safe, exclamation marks. Nothing is safe in the markets. Okay, it can always go lower or higher than expected. But then I would wait for a retest of this trend line. Okay, guys? Either you buy right now, expecting that this is reaccumulation before we go higher, right above support, or you buy at a retest of this horizontal support in confluence with this trend line support, guys, which would bring us down to a price of round about 0.195 Australian dollars. Alright, the price target for this project, it's hard to determine based on historical resistance zones since there are none. So we are straight into blue sky discovery, price discovery, and therefore it's really hard to make a price target. Based on the market cap, which is at 90 million Australian dollars, I think a 10x is obviously possible in the coming years if the silver prices go higher, if the demand keeps rising or stays elevated. And therefore, it's hard to say right now. I just gotta be honest, it's hard to say, but the 10x is possible if they, obviously, if they stick to their plan, if they can succeed, if they maybe can start producing in the coming years, if they get an MA, who knows. Alright, let's go on with the next mining company, with the 7th company we are going to talk about, which is Alaska Silver Corp. And Alaska Silver Corp also is more of a smaller explorer with a market cap at around 80 million Canadian dollars. Not too small, but not too big, so there's still a lot of potential based on market cap. And obviously, in my opinion, the chart looks good too. I missed the entry right here at this retest. I missed it. I was focused on other mining companies which looked better at that time, in my opinion. Nonetheless, it pushed higher. And right now, it's okay to buy again, in my opinion. Because we just had a retest, or we just had a retracement. And this could also be a continuation pattern. When you go on the 1 hour chart, okay guys, this also looks like a falling wedge, which is just breaking out right now, okay? So you can see this is a falling wedge. We push higher, form a falling wedge, which is a continuation pattern, break out, maybe retest, maybe not, who knows, and go higher. So right now, entering this project, this company, Alaska Silver Corp, after doing your own research, if you're convinced that this can go higher, isn't a bad idea based on the charts, based on the current price. But as always, no financial advice. Where would I buy this project, this company? Of course, right now is a good opportunity, but if we retest this support resistance zone once again, maybe go even lower, okay, forming a double bottom right here, and meanwhile, or simultaneously, retesting this trend line support, okay? This would be a nice entry. So round about 85 Canadian dollar cents, about 1 Canadian dollar, or right now it's okay to buy, as I already said, dollar cost average. Don't buy all at once. My price targets for this company would be, I mean, we just set our bottom range, retested it deeper than expected, okay, deeper than expected. We went to this support, retested it, reclaimed, reaccumulated right above support, pushed higher. So it's a good bottom, it's a healthy bottom, okay. My price targets would be around 2.66, 3.78, and obviously the range highs, the all-time highs. So this can actually also make a 5 to 6x, depends on where you entry. Let's keep on going to the 8th mining company. This is a really long video. I hope you're sticking to it. And if you're still watching it, leave a comment down below just to let me know that you do enjoy these videos and that you do actually watch them till the end. The next mining stock is Silver Spruce Resources with a market cap of round about 9 million Canadian dollars, which is really low. It's the smallest project we are talking about in today's video. But I still wanted to include it since some of you guys commented about this project in the last video, and therefore I just wanted to pleasure you by analyzing this one as well. And it actually sounds interesting, okay? I gotta say, I gotta be honest. So it has a lot of potential since it's still really small. And I gotta be honest, the current price development looks healthy as well. Of course, it looks kind of bizarre. The candles look kind of bizarre in comparison to other charts. But nonetheless, we have our range low right here at around 0.225 Canadian dollar cents. We had our deviation below for quite a long period of time, for almost 2 years. And now we just reclaim this range low. Let's go on the, or let's just draw a range, okay guys? Let's draw a range high, range low. Mid-level, right where we had resistance. Just gotta say it once again, chart analysis is not random, okay? It's not random. All right, so we reclaimed our range low. We need to hold this range low in the coming weeks in order to be actually bullish, in order to confirm that that's it. That's the accumulation we had below the range lows. Now we are going higher. We're going to the mid-level, maybe correct or even not. Go higher, reclaim it, go to the range high, correct, and go higher, okay? So this looks okayish right now. As I already said, it's really interesting, high potential, high gains to be made, a lot of gains to be made. And if you did your own research, especially on such small projects, always do your own research, always do research, of course. If you're convinced, buying right now isn't a bad idea if you are convinced, okay? If you think that this project has a bright future, especially with the overall silver market, commodity markets being really bullish and are loose on money, okay? Financing everywhere, multi-million dollars financing, whatever. So the next target from current prices would be the mid-level, the range highs. First this, okay? First those highs at $1.80 Canadian cents. Then the range high, and then obviously the extension levels. This can go really high if they succeed. This could actually be a 30x, 20x, or even more. But it's really risky, obviously, since it's such a small project. Let's keep on going to the next one. It's no other than Silver Bullet Mines. And Silver Bullet Mines also has a market cap right below 40 million Canadian dollars, which is also a small explorer project. And it looks really interesting, it looks really healthy. I just draw a range high, range low. And as you can see, it's forming a really nice round bottom. Currently retesting the mid-level. As you can see, it's actually rejecting for a few weeks already, since it's obviously its resistance. But we also retested this support, okay? So here, once again, let me just draw it in the charts. This is the reaccumulation zone at the range low, okay? We reaccumulated in this zone. Where's the range high? Where was this range high within this reaccumulation zone? It was at around 0.23 Canadian dollar cents. Resistance broke above, had quite an accelerating breakout, kind of blow off top on the lower time frame, went lower. Where did we find support? Where did buyers step in again? At the range highs from the current reaccumulation zone, which is 0.23 Canadian dollar cents. So right now the price or the chart actually looks really good for a next push higher. Okay, not saying that we can't go lower again. Maybe we go higher, form another lower low, and then we push, okay? Form a falling wedge. Not saying that this can't happen, but right now the chart looks solid, it looks healthy, especially if we get to reclaim this mid-level again. I think that this has a good upside potential. Then we go to the range high, maybe come back down to the range low. Since it's such a small project, it's a higher volatility implicated, obviously. And then we go higher, reclaim it again, and then we actually push into price discovery, push above the range high, push above the resistance at 50 Canadian dollar cents. So where would my entry prices would be? As I already said, buying right now is all right. Maybe retest again of this range high. If we fall lower, I would actually need to see this level to hold, okay? Otherwise, I would be concerned. It's a small project. got not a lot of chart history, so it's higher risk. Obviously, automatically higher risk implicated. Therefore, do your own research on the fundamentals. Now let's go to our last mining project for this video, which is Impact Silver Corp with a market cap at around 180 million Canadian dollars. We are currently on a 3-month chart, which tells us that we have such a big sideways range. And within this sideways range, as you can see here, it's really small, we have a reaccumulation range at the bottom part of this sideways range, okay? Alright, so let's go on the monthly chart. Impact Silver looks really good. Chart-wise, it's phenomenal, okay? We just broke out above this range high, above this reaccumulation range. You can argue that this is kind of a head and shoulders. Here's the one shoulder, here's the head, here's the other shoulder. But I don't really put too much importance on those chart patterns. Nonetheless, we just broke out. Let's go on the weekly chart. We broke out, retested it with a red week in the beginning of January, and after that we just pushed higher, plus 30% and currently plus 2%. Where would be my entry price if I'm not invested yet and if I'm convinced that this project will go higher? I gotta be honest again, at this one I missed this entry, okay? I missed it, it's fine. Just for you guys to know, don't get emotional when you miss an entry. Don't FOMO in. It's fine, there are a lot of opportunities left in the market. So therefore, if I want to invest in this project, a retest of this range again, maybe while we retest this diagonal support trend line, would give me high conviction that this retest will hold and that we will go higher in the coming weeks, in the coming months. And where would my targets be? Obviously the mid-level, which is really nice resistance so far. So it would mean from current prices, we would make a 130% or 140% move, 1.26 Canadian dollar cents. Obviously after that, if we reclaim it, okay, something like this maybe, reclaim it, go higher again. Here you can enter again maybe if you want to. The range highs, which would bring us from current prices to almost 400% gains, almost 5x. Then this local high at $3.15, and obviously afterwards the all-time high at around about $4.20, $4.24 Canadian dollar cents. And afterwards, obviously, our extended range, Fibonacci range targets. Alright guys, that's it with the video. I hope you enjoyed it. I would highly appreciate it if you leave a comment down below what your favorite mining stocks are. If you watched this video until the end, I would be so happy that to know that some people actually took their time to watch my chart analysis on all of those projects. And maybe I should have said this earlier, but just because retail investors such as you and me are talking about those mining projects, it doesn't mean that you should get out already since retail is invested. Dump money is invested, yeah, as you talk about retail. No, because we are already invested, since we are already invested, some of you maybe for a few years already, for a decade already, and are awaiting long awaited push higher. Therefore, I think a lot of retail investors are still focused on whatever S&P 500 stocks are, okay, on tech stocks, defense stocks, and so on. So I think the most part of retail investors, of the general investors, are not even invested yet, and especially the institutions, the big money as well, okay? So therefore, I think that the mining sector, gold, copper, silver, uranium as well, and base metals as well in general, will have a bright future ahead, with a lot of more retail investors stepping in and a lot of more institutional investors stepping in, maybe even the governments itself, since silver, for example, is a critical mineral based on what the US government just said in recent official releases in the last couple of months. Alright guys, therefore, thanks for watching. Leave a like, leave a comment, leave a follow for our small growing channel. I would highly appreciate it. And I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.